maybe I can do one of these trips. So I contacted him, and he kind of tried to talk me out of it first of all, and then I convinced him, it'll be fine. I can do that. I'm stuck in this cheap hotel, and I know at the back of my mind, it's not even at the back of my mind, it's at the front of my mind, I'm going to have to be swallowing packages to fly back to the UK. And reality just set in, and I thought, I've made a huge mistake here. All of a sudden, I'm starting to feel sick. And I've realized that the outsides of the packages haven't been washed off properly. There's cocaine on the outside of all these packages. I've swallowed 86 of these packages.
Huh?
Yeah. And I could see someone in my peripheral vision, a white guy standing over there. And people that knew what I was doing, they said, don't look anyone in the eye in the airport. The guy he was just out of place. Like, why was he standing there? There was nothing else there, just standing there. And I turned like that, and he went like that. He called me like that. I thought, fuck.
A white guy?
A white guy.
In Jamaica?
Yeah.
You just knew it was something dodge?
He was a policeman. He left the room, and in came the two Jamaican police. And he was the nice guy, because if you know anything about Jamaica, it's a harsh environment. And Jamaican police,
What's going on, people? Welcome to the Central Club. This episode is brought to you by Reinspire Printing, Tidy Comps, and Boss Security. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the club, and hit the bell button to be notified of future content. What can I say? This episode we have just done has got me really emotional. I'm still kind of shaken up from how it was ending. But yeah, today we had Wayne Fisher, a man who was arrested and imprisoned in Jamaica for drug smuggling. And that was all through or driven through addiction. There's a lot that resonated with me and hopefully a lot with you guys as well. This one is very, very powerful. And yeah, I'm not going to say too much. Just I hope you enjoy this one. Stay central. Wayne.
how you doing, bro?
Thanks for coming.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, how
Thank
are you?
I'm a little bit nervous, I'm not going to lie, but I'm grateful and I appreciate being invited in to tell my story. I know you're doing amazing things. I just want to congratulate you, bro, on what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I think everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, definitely.
Places you are at certain times in your life that bring people into your life.
Mm-hmm.
And the way we met, was uncanny in a way, through employment, not even long ago, really. And when you kind of opened up about your story to me, it just like blew me back.
Yeah.
And some of the things you have done in your life, in your recovery, are some of the similarities in mine, talking in the sense of like where you have been and some of the places you've seeked help. So I just felt it was like a massive, something drew me to you massively. And I just thought like, you have to tell your story because it's powerful, mate.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Yeah. So hopefully we can get into that today.
Yeah.
So what I do with all the guests, and I try not to do it all the time, but sometimes you have to go back. But I think you have to go back in this story anyway to see, what happened really and why this happened. Because, from what you speak to me and the way you are as a person, it just would never strike me of this happening to you. So if you could just, go into basically where you're from and how was your upbringing?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, as you know, addiction doesn't discriminate. It doesn't identify or recognize class. It doesn't recognize race or anything like that. So, many people say, Wayne, you don't seem like someone that would be doing drugs, but it is what it is, bro. But so my childhood's pretty good. I remember growing up in a place called Stockwell, which is next to Brixton. And I'm 48. on Tuesday. So that's how old I am. So we're
birthday.
talking about. Thank you. This is where you can say you don't look 48.
Yeah.
Anytime now.
Yeah, you don't look 48.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So back then, it was lovely in my neighborhood. It was, innocent fun. Knockdown ginger, roller skates. You're looking at me like,
Oh no, I'm trying to make this serious. Like, but the other day someone we had an argument that it's not knockdown ginger, it's rat-a-tat ginger.
ooh,
Well, in Cardiff, or where I'm from, we could put a poll up in the comments, but it's rat-a-tat ginger, not knockdown ginger.
I don't know about whatever. I don't know about that. But yeah, you know the game.
Yeah,
anyway. Yeah. So it was lovely. It was really nice. It was a close-knit community. Well, I say community. I wasn't allowed past just going around my block. So, all the kids just getting together, having fun, riding bikes. This is in primary school. Primary school, I was a teacher's pet, proper nerd. I know.
Yeah,
I know the answers. I know the answer, miss. One of them. It was nice. Nothing but happy memories. Up until the age of about 10 or 11, and my mum bought a house not too far away in Brixton, and Brixton Hill, and that's where things changed a little bit, because in Brixton Hill, my peers weren't the same as in Stockwell. These guys were completely different. These guys, they didn't have curfew. They were swearing. They were, smoking weed. I was just like blown away by these people, but at the same time, it was exciting. They were different. And from a very young age, I can look back in hindsight and say, I wanted to fit in with that crowd. They were different to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was drawn to that. So, I started doing the stuff that they were doing. So essentially, I became two people. So in the house, I was like, respectful and polite and didn't swear and all of that kind of stuff. But on the street, I was getting up to mischief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any reasons why you moved to, lovely Stockwell to Brixton Hill?
Well, Brixton Hill, my mum purchased a house. In Stockwell, we were living with my nan.
Okay.
My mum wasn't on the property ladder yet. So, that was the reason for the move.
And mum and dad together?
Yeah, mum and dad together. I will say that my dad, including myself, has 7 children through 3 different mums. So I've got half sisters. We don't say half, and a half brother. So with my mum, it was just me and Philippa. So in my mum's house, it was just me. I was an only child in the house. I remember being the last one leaving in the morning to go to school. My mum and dad had gone to work, and being the first one back home in the evening. So I spent a lot of time in the house by myself. My little sister didn't come along until I was 20 years of age. So essentially, I was an only child. And I think that prompted me going out, out on the roads to go, hang out with my mates.
Yeah, kind of like a lonely feeling, really, innit? Where you want to kind of belong to something, maybe.
Definitely wanted to belong. And it's been a recurring pattern all through my life, wanting to fit in, not feeling as if I affiliate with a particular group, just feeling like a bit of an outcast, wanting to fit in, wanting to gain acceptance. So fast forward a little bit, as a teenager, I got into a bit of the weed smoking. Most kids do that. I didn't enjoy it, but again, it was to fit in with a certain crowd. I had another type of friend. I don't want to mention names and stuff, but a good friend of mine, he was like a local cocaine dealer. He was a sniff dealer. And he was making loads of money. So I had him as a friend, and then I had the regular boys as friends, and I used to sort of dip between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this, what should we call him? It's like a cold name.
Charlie.
Oh, Charlie. Good name. So Charlie, I used to do a bit of barbering as a kid.
Can you describe Charlie to us? Is he white? Is he black?
Charlie's a mixed race guy, tall,
Okay.
good looking guy, charismatic. You know,
And your other boys
bit of a
are
ladies'
what?
man.
The other crowd totally different.
Black boys.
Get money?
What we say, like proper roadmen.
Okay.
Roadmen. On the
So
road
he's
doing
on the
everything.
one side,
Yeah.
good looking, making money, and they're on the estate just smoking weed and
Making
whatever
some
else.
money, but they're
Yeah.
two
Okay.
opposites kind of thing.
Okay.
So I used to go to parties with Charlie, and he had a middle class and upper class sort of clientele, and everyone was sniffing, everyone was drinking champagne, everyone was wearing designer clothes, and I wanted to fit into that, you know. Yeah, I was so excited and just I was aspiring to be like those people.
Okay, so you was born in 75.
75.
So what we talking here,
Long time
teenagers in the Brixton days, we're talking what, early 90s? Is that what we're talking, like
Yes.
around them times?
Yeah.
And what, can you paint a picture to us what Bricky was like then?
Well, Brixton was if you go to Brixton now, gentrification's happened in Brixton. It's like spot the black guy in Brixton. But back in the day, you know, Brixton is a place where people from the West Indies came over and settled there. So with that comes a big sort of culture and identity of the West Indies, Jamaica predominantly. So all the food shops, the music, the language, the way people dress. It was a real sort of hub for West Indians. So growing up there, I'm a bit too young to remember the riots. I was born, but I'm too young to remember the riots. But Brixton always had a bit of a reputation as being a bit edgy, a little bit dangerous. There were gangs around, and I had friends in gangs, but the gang thing wasn't for me. I'll be honest, it just wasn't for me. I flirted with bits of crime here and there, but being affiliated with a gang just wasn't my thing. I saw what some of them were up to, some of the violence. It kind of repulsed me. It wasn't my thing, you know. So yeah, and people sort of respected that. I never sort of pretended to be like one of these roadmen, one of these gangsters on the road. And that was never me. And I'm proud of myself for not sort of falling victim to peer pressure to, you know, go and do stabbings or go and do shootings and stuff. That was never me. I want to make that clear, you know. I think it's I suppose the upbringing that I had. I didn't want to. I was all right to do some things, but I think that was just not for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to these parties. At this point, are you using cocaine yourself? Have you ever taken it yet? Or is it just strictly alcohol, cannabis, that type of thing?
I'm definitely using cocaine at this point. I used to enjoy it a bit too much, and I recognized that from an early sort of stage that I was enjoying it a bit too much. I always wanted to go on to the next party. I didn't want the party to end. And first of all, it started just every other weekend, but then it sort of increased to when I wanted it during the week. And I didn't want to go to Charlie and say, you know, can I buy some of your Charlie? Because I didn't want him to know that I had a sort of thing with it, a problem with it. So I'd go elsewhere and try and seek my own Charlie. And therein lied a bigger problem because this guy that I approached, I told him I wanted some Charlie, and he said, well, I haven't got that one. I've got the other one. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, the hard one. I said, I don't know what you mean. So it's crack, basically. He said, it's just the same thing. Just crush it up, put it in a spliff. I thought, okay. So I tried it, liked it, tried it again, liked it. And before I knew it, I was leaving work to go and score. I was in and out of jobs like no one's business because I'd cane all my money on payday. Come Monday, I'm skint. I can't even afford to go into work. So it became a real problem. I started selling possessions of mine. I mean, I had lots of stuff, and I started selling my own possessions to get my fix. it just happened really quickly. It happened really, really quickly. The decline, my behavior changed. My parents noticed that I was a little bit, I don't know, there's something different about him. His attitude's changing. And how my mum found out that I was using drugs, she found a porn ticket in my bedroom. You know, mums, they go into their sons' rooms when their sons are not there. She went into my room and she found a porn ticket for a chain that my dad had bought her, a really nice chain. And I remember taking this chain to the pawn shop, and the guy in the pawn shop was like really shocked. He was like, "How much do you want for this?" kind of thing. I can't believe, what, you selling this? What you doing? I said, just give me £150. And the plan was to buy it back and replace it, but it never goes like that. You know, any addict will tell you it never goes like that. And that was it. It was out in the open. Everybody knew that I was a drug user.
Wow. I want to go back a minute to the crack use you was talking about.
Yeah.
So the first time you used it was because you couldn't find the coke. You know, after that time, there would I be right in saying there was a handful of opportunities to score the coke again, but it was just never in your interest? As soon as you used that crack, it was onto the crack full time.
The chemistry of turning cocaine into crack cocaine, as we know, is, you know, either ammonia or bicarbs. And just that simple process, it increases the buzz, the intensity. They're two polar opposites. You can't compare the two. And luckily for me, well, unluckily for me, but at the time it felt like it was lucky, I bumped into somebody that was running a crack house. I bumped into him in my local area, and we struck up a conversation. I went to the place where he was operating from, and in this room, I'll never forget it. It was like yesterday. I'll never forget it. There were mattresses all over the floor. There were like ladies of the night, working girls, going back and forth. There were people smoking in every part of the house, and this guy was running the house, and I'm sat there in my blazer and my shiny shoes, you know, looking and feeling $1 million. And at that time, sadly, I was looking down on those other users because I thought, well, at least I'm not as bad as them, as long as,
justifying
it.
It's mad, isn't it?
This went on for a long time. I started ducking my friends. I started telling lies. I started, making up stories why I needed money. They could see a change in me. There was a decline in my appearance. All my bits and pieces, all my stuff was getting sold, and people were really worried about me. You know, some people were glad because I was really popular, and some people were like, "Yes, I'm glad he's fucked up his life."
Of course, you're gonna get that.
You do get haters, but for the most part, a lot of people are really sad. But yeah.
How about your image? Of course, you might still have the nice clothes on your back, but yourself, your health. Did you lose loads of weight, or did you still look the same? Some people can do that, and they can use, and they literally, you cannot tell if they have got a problem.
I lost weight. I was pretty slim anyway. But yeah, I lost loads of weight. And it's funny because one of my friends bumped into my mum down at the local shops, and he said to my mum, I saw Wayne the other day. She said, okay. And she said, he didn't seem right. He didn't seem himself. I'm worried about him. And he was wearing the same clothes, sort of like the last time I saw him. And that's something that I would never do, One of the things about growing up in my neck of the woods was presenting yourself in a way, the designer clothes, the nice trainers, much like yourself, Cullen.
Mate, you're telling me this story, and it's just your story is me in Cardiff, like the walking in the trap houses, and as soon as you we would never cross that threshold if we weren't on drugs.
No.
And you sit there and you're just like, what am I doing
Yeah,
here?
absolutely.
And yeah, go on,
Absolutely.
please. It's amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, this is what I'm saying. This story that I tell, it's like, oh my gosh, but it's a common story.
There's loads of us out there, isn't there?
It's a common theme, you know. But yeah, I forgot where we were.
We're talking about your clothes.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I tell you what. How was you funding your habit on a day-to-day basis? Because there's only so many gold chains your mum got.
This is what I'm saying. I mean, after I had no more bits and pieces to sell, and when my mum found out that I was on drugs, she politely said, "Listen, Wayne, you've got to find somewhere else to kind of live now because you've got your little sisters here now." My little sister was like, I don't know, 2.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, you can't be doing this. At that same time as well, I need to mention as well that my son, who's 25 now, he was 1, and I just wasn't playing the father role properly, as you can imagine. My drugs came first. As sad as that sounds, the drugs came first. I loved the drugs. So yeah, when my mum asked me to sort of find alternative accommodation, that was the beginning of me on a, excuse my language, the fuck it path. So, you know, then came the robbing, the stealing. I would basically stand behind people at cash points, wait for the money to come out, and trust me, I'm getting the money. I would just pick random people that looked like they would be carrying cash and just target them on the streets, back streets. I'd go into shops, rob tills. I've stuck shops up, all in the pursuit. Like my drug-seeking behavior was on another level. I was literally a one-man crime wave.
Would you class yourself as someone who was because there's like the hierarchy in the addiction world as well, where we stigmatize others. Was you good at making your money?
I was.
You had no problem at making your money.
I had no problem. And I actually prided myself on that because I used to look down on people that were begging. I used to think, what, bro, why are you begging? Why don't you just go to where the money is? Don't wait for a handout, you know? And then in later life, I thought, you know what? They're earning their money lawfully.
Yeah.
Without dragging someone to the ground, without threatening them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I really had no problem with the stuff that I did, you know.
Can I ask you, did you ever use the other one? Did you ever try the heroin?
No, never. It never appealed to me. Thank God.
I think though that sometimes causes more damage for the person who's addicted to crack. I think someone who's just solely addicted to crack is a dangerous person. I think when you've got the heroin, it balances it out. It kind of calms them down. It tells them sometimes, I know it's out of control, but sometimes it tells them when to stop or when, you know, the end of the night is.
Sure.
But with crack, it is constantly chasing that high.
Yeah.
You're never coming down. And you're just waiting for that next. Do you see what I mean? Like it's a crackhead, I hate saying these words, but a crack user solely is a dangerous person.
Absolutely. I was a dangerous person. As you can imagine, with these offences comes prison. I've done quite a bit of prison. We was having a chat the other day. On my DBS, I've got 20 convictions, and I'd say half of those are custodials. You know, for some pretty horrendous stuff, you know, some GBHs, robberies, awful.
All drug related?
All drug related because, as you see, without drugs in my system, I'm a nice guy.
You're a lovely guy.
Thank you.
So this is what I want to ask you, because for someone who is all drug related crimes, when you get into that prison, and you're off the drugs, it's like, what the fuck am I doing here? You self-reflect more then, don't you? And what was it like for you, that first sentence?
The first time I ever went to prison, it was, not surprisingly, my local HMP Bricky, HMP Brixton. And
Brixton Radio, shout out
I
there.
was bricking it. I was scared. I didn't know what to expect. I mean, I'd seen things on TV. I knew friends of mine that had been in and out of prison, but more the young offenders age, Feltham and stuff like that. I didn't know what to expect. I thought maybe I'd have to be washing my back all the time. I thought, how am I going to get through this? And I quickly realized that those wings are mostly populated by addicts, people trying to feed their habit, got caught, and they've been chucked in there. Yes, there are other crimes, there are other types of prisoner, but it's predominantly addicts that have been caught for shopliftings, for burglaries and stuff like that. These are not dangerous people to me. So I was worried, about the big guys on the wing that would maybe want to target me because they could see that it was my first time in prison. There wasn't really any of that. So thank God. And as the prison sentences started to rack up, it's terrible to say, but I just got used to being in prison. It wasn't much of a deterrent. In fact, I'd say that I lived better in prison than in the community, because 3 meals a day, TV in my cell, PlayStation, going to the gym, doing courses. I was always the wing rep or the gym orderly.
Model prisoner.
Never took any drugs in prison, maybe an occasional spliff, a bit of weed or something. For cutting someone's hair, they chucked me a spliff, but really, model prisoner.
Okay, well, this is interesting because, some people say, we probably both agree on it, but there's different sides of it. But when we say, people with drug addiction shouldn't go to prison, it's not a deterrent, no. So the argue point may be that, well, look, you was actually clean, healthy, you was doing courses, you was doing this, so it has worked in a way. So what's going wrong in the process of you coming out? I don't get it. Like, what would you say that is?
Well, okay, first of all, whilst in prison, there's structure to my day. I'm up at a certain time. I'm being fed at a certain time. I'm going to gym at a certain time. There are restrictions to my movements. For me, the structure falls down when I leave prison. One, I've got nowhere to live. If we talk about, what's this guy? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. On there is accommodation. A person without accommodation,
It all falls.
they're going to go back to the stuff they were doing before. So I've been released as a mapper prisoner. That means, I'm a pest. I'm unpredictable. I'm violent. I'm this, I'm that. Released with nowhere to live. So when I've gone to the probation and I'm like, what park bench do you want me to give you as my address? I'm a mapper prisoner. You're supposed to be monitoring where I'm living. This is set up for me to fail. And I quickly realized that probation are there to just sort of manage you. They're not there to sort of help you as such.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, there's no courses, there's no offerings or anything. It's just, where have you been, how you been, and make sure you're here next week at this time.
Yeah.
If you was, let's say now you had the pot of money, the funding, the tools to, help people with addiction, how would you set it up? Would you still send them to prison and then have aftercare support, or would you not send them to prison at all? What would you do?
I think that there needs to be consequence, absolutely, regardless of your addiction. People can say, I was off my head, I didn't know what I was doing. Listen, if you're committing offences, there has to be some kind of consequence to your actions. But like you say, being released with no structure and stuff is just pointless. That this word rehabilitation is just a myth. There does need to be, like you say, aftercare. There needs to be things for people to be getting involved in. You can't just be.
Want to live for?
This is what I'm saying, man. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and do you know what? I kind of argue that point sometimes, though, and I do say, you know, I don't think people with drug-related offences should be sentenced to prison, not selling them, but using them. But there's always a but with it. Like, I don't think that, like, petty theft should, but if they murdered someone or doing this, then they should. Well, then that's kind of, I'm muddying the water saying that, really. And like, it's either, it's got to be black and white, haven't it? Because otherwise it's messy. So it's luckily, it's not my job to make those decisions, but it is a tough one to make.
I'm inclined to lean towards what you're saying, you know, petty crimes, the shopliftings and stuff. You know, someone that is just going out shoplifting daily.
And you see that pattern, like, yeah.
That's a pattern. There's a reason they're doing that. And if we can go to the source, what's the root cause? Why is this person doing it? It's drug related. 9.9 times out of 10, it's drug related. So let's try and get this person, you know, some help, some support. Let's introduce them to some structure. Maybe something that's holistic, mind, body, and soul. You know, some exercise mixed with some training, mixed with some life skills, mixed with some, I don't know, some kind of qualifications that they can work towards, so that they can become a mainstream person in society.
Yeah.
This was all I ever wanted for myself, to be a law-abiding taxpayer, and I've achieved that. A law-abiding taxpayer. I don't like my bills, don't get me wrong. I don't like my bills. However, the fact that I don't have to look over my shoulder anymore, I feel mainstream. I'm contributing to society.
Yeah.
And I feel there's lots of people that want to be doing the same.
What do you know about Wales' #1 rated security provider, Boss Security? Boss Security Limited are a professional security service provider based in South Wales, but servicing clients on a national scale. With over 10 years of experience in the security industry, they are true experts in all aspects of security, from CCTV monitoring, manned guards, mobile patrols, and alarm response. They provide the most advanced technology on the market, along with an expert team of staff delivering complete security solution to their clients throughout the UK. So why don't you stay secure? We've all heard of that saying, it's too good to be true. And I live by it until I come across Tidy Comps. Because there are good people out there who genuinely want to help make a difference in people's lives. And that's what TC are doing, via huge raffle prizes with all earnings going to a good cause. If you fancy a chance at winning, big or small, then send in your £1 entries to Tidy Comps. There are many opportunities to win, from daily and weekly Pay My Bills comps, signed shirts, and the big one that runs monthly, with prizes including 80 grand cash or a fully furnished house. What are you waiting for? Get a chance at winning big, and if you don't, then at least you're taking part in helping local charities throughout Wales, such as the Welsh Children's Cancer Charity, Jacob Abraham Foundation, Tackle Your Thoughts, and many more. Get over to Tidy Comps Facebook and other social media platforms to see what prizes are available today. Okay, then, so you were, you know, in and out of prison, you know, English prisons, we should say, because we do know that later on in life, you end up in other countries. How did you get there? You know, you're a chaotic user, you're using, you go into prison, but you're coming out and you're fucking up again, yeah?
Yeah.
So what happened?
So, okay, we're going into the chapter of...
It looks like it's taking me there, yeah.
Going abroad. Okay, so there was a dealer that I knew, a yardie, Jamaican guy, and I used to find people for him that would fly to Jamaica to swallow parcels in Jamaica and come back here. So in all of these like drug dens, I would look for people that maybe could scrub up well, that maybe, because you have to present yourself in a certain way if you're going to the airport to do something like this. This is a big thing. So I would connect those two people, and I'd get a cut. I'm not going to lie, I'd get a cut. on one occasion, I got released from a prison, and I didn't go straight back into that chaotic lifestyle because there was some accommodation on release for me, which really helped. And I was doing okay for a while. And but I wasn't working. I had no money, so I thought, you know what? Maybe I can do one of these trips. So I contacted him, and he kind of tried to talk me out of it first of all, and then I convinced him, it'll be fine. I can do that. So yeah, he paid for my passport. He booked the tickets to Jamaica, and I remember the weekend before I went to see my mum and dad, and I said to them, "I'm going to Jamaica," and they both looked at each other like, "Did he just say he's going to Jamaica?" I've never expressed any kind of interest in going to Jamaica.
And your mum and dad are from Jamaica?
My mum and dad are from Jamaica. I've always thought, I wasn't even too much into West Indian food.
Yeah.
I definitely had no interest in going to Jamaica as a youngster. It's too hot, there's creepy crawlies, people shoot each other over a patty. I thought, this is not for me. So when I've turned up as a 33-year-old saying, "Mum, Dad, I'm going to Jamaica," they're like, "Okay. So where have you got money to go to Jamaica? You're not even working." "Oh, my friend, he's going to pay for my ticket and blah, blah, blah." And I think my dad knew, before I left, he said, "Son, mind what you're doing," sort of thing, he said. So anyway, I've gone to Jamaica on my own, and it was for a week. I didn't enjoy my time because I'm stuck in this cheap hotel, and I know at the back of my mind, it's not even at the back of my mind, it's at the front of my mind, I'm going to have to be swallowing packages to fly back to the UK. And reality just set in, and I thought, I've made a huge mistake here. This is way out of my depth. Why don't I just stick to trying to find people for this guy? Why am I doing it myself? Well, to be honest with you, my plan was I was just going to rip him off. I was going to go back to the UK. You'd never see me again. That was my mindset. So I've gone to Jamaica. As I say, it wasn't even a holiday.
You didn't see anything nice? Didn't go back to mum and dad's town?
I didn't go to mum and dad's town. I did go to a nightclub. I went to, there was like what do they call it? A bikini car wash. So there's motorbikes there doing stunts, and I'm in one of the proper ghettos of Montego Bay.
Okay. And at any moment, why didn't you back out?
I don't think I would have had a choice because
serious guy. Then.
Well, yeah, and also my flight's been paid for, my passport's been paid for. If I fly back, someone's got to pay for that. Someone's got to pay for that flight. I didn't have the money to pay for that flight. It's not the kind of thing you can just say, "Oh, you know what? I had a change of heart, bro." It wasn't really like that. So, yeah.
But then if you was going to bump him, it was just like, "Oh, if I'm going to do it, I'm going all in," type of thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Okay, so on the day, the eve of the...
Day before my flight, I start swallowing the packages. Now, these packages are about the size of my thumb.
Okay.
And I remember he bought me this big carton of...
prune juice or something?
Not prune juice. Was it fruit? Mixed fruit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, mixed fruit juice. And so I'm having a sip, swallowing a package, having a sip, swallowing a package. All of a sudden, I'm starting to feel sick. And I've realised that the outsides of the packages haven't been washed off properly. There's cocaine on the outside of all these packages. I've swallowed 86 of these packages.
Huh?
Yeah.
Sorry, for the people, how much was, what was the quantity you was taking over?
It was, we agreed for me to bring a key, and I swallowed about 3/4 of a kilo.
86?
Yeah.
And how many do you have left?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure. I was so out of it. I mean, in between swallowing some. I'd go out for a fag. I went out for something to eat and I felt sick in the restaurant where I was. I ran to the toilet and I threw up. 4 or 5 of them came out and went in the sink. I had to wash them off and put them back in my pocket. I was totally out of it. I was dazed. I felt sick. I was weak. So come the time of me flying back to the UK, I was a state. I didn't know which way was left, which way was right. I was queuing up in the wrong queue. I got to the counter and she said, no, you're meant to be queuing over there if you're going to the UK.
This is Germany.
Yeah. So already I'm bringing attention to myself. But little did I know, I'd already brought attention to myself by flying to Jamaica on my own for a week without a job because they do a thing called profiling. So they look for idiots like me that are, have big ideas of making some fast cash and smuggling. They're looking for people like me. So, it's stereotypical behavior. It's flagging up. This guy doesn't even work, but he's going to Jamaica for a week. He's 33. It's his first holiday and he's on his own. We're going to keep an eye on him. So they've searched my suitcase. There's nothing in my suitcase. I've gone to an immigration desk next. They're asking me all sorts of questions about Jamaica. Who did you come to see? Where did they live? And the answers that I gave them just weren't adding up.
Yeah.
They're asking me, what's your name? And I'm saying Wednesday, So more or less as ridiculous as that, bro. So after they've searched the suitcase and not found nothing, I'm thinking, this is sweet. They're not even worrying about, I've got it internal, They're searching my suitcase. I've got away. So I've gone through security and I'm walking towards the escalators and I'm just putting on my little shoulder bag, walking like this. And I could see someone in my peripheral vision, a white guy standing over there. And people that knew what I was doing, they said, don't look anyone in the eye in the airport. The guy was just out of place. Like, why was he standing there? There was nothing else there, just standing there. And I turned like that and he went like that. He called me like that. I thought, fuck.
A white guy.
A white guy.
In Jamaica.
Yeah.
You just knew it was something dodge.
He was a policeman. He said, listen, my name's, whatever his name, Jeff, blah, blah, blah.
British
guy. He said, I'm a policeman. I work in conjunction with the Jamaican police. Listen, the guy said, listen, this is a routine stop. I want you to do a urine.
It's always a routine stop.
Always a routine.
You get spinning yourself. It's a routine spin.
Routine. It's not personal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've given a urine sample. On this desk, I've seen a piece of paper and it's got like 30 names on it. And beside each name is a number. So these must be previous routine stops. They're all 400 and something, 200 and something, 300 and something. My reading was 926. I'll never forget that. So,
well, that's the drugs in your system.
Drugs are in my system. So, I'm trying to say, I made up this whole story. Oh, I was in the nightclub. I met some girls and we had some cocaine. That's why it's in my system. He said, your reading wouldn't be like this. No amount of snorting would have you given a reading like this. So I said, fuck. Anyway, he left the room and in came the 2 Jamaican police. And he was the nice guy, because if you know anything about Jamaica, it's a harsh environment. And Jamaican police, it's another level, bro. They came in and I was just shitting myself. They had big guns on their waist. They were telling me basically, we know you swallowed. We know you swallowed. Just admit it. I was saying, no, I didn't swallow. Promise, I didn't. I wouldn't do that. I was telling them I was a Muslim. I'm a good guy. I was saying everything under the sun. He said to me, listen, what we're going to do, we're going to take you to the hospital. We're going to have you x-rayed and we take it from there. They took me into the police car. Bro, I tried to bribe them with the little bit of money that I had left. When I worked it out, the money that I tried to bribe him with wouldn't have been able to buy a patty. Honestly, I was desperate. I was like, I was saying anything for them to just say, "Oh, you know what? Just go about your business." I was saying like I could have money sent to you. I was making all sorts of promises. They're looking at each other like this guy's an idiot.
Yeah.
They've driven me to the hospital. I got X-rayed, and you could see on the X-ray all the packages were just lodged up here. They hadn't even gone down. They were just all up here.
How did that feel inside you? Did you feel them?
I could feel them, yeah. I could feel them. I was bloated. I felt weak. I felt sick. I was sweating. I felt scared. So, yeah, the evidence, was in black and white. So I was handcuffed to the bed. I was in a ward with other failed smugglers. There was a lady in...
Failed smuggler?
Yeah,
In hospital, this?
In hospital. So they would have an officer keeping watch. There was like 4 of us. An officer keeping watch. And if you wanted to go to the toilet, you'd tell him. He would uncuff you. He would follow you to a room and you'd have to shit into this bucket, wipe them off and put them in the evidence box because he ain't doing it. He ain't doing it. And that's how it went until they all came out. I knew how many I swallowed, roughly. And I said, when it came time to when I thought they were all out, I said, look, I think that's about it. They X-rayed me again and there was none there. This one guy, he knew how many he swallowed and there was one left and it wouldn't come out. And they said, look, if it doesn't come out on the next toilet thing, we're going to have to cut you open because what happens is packages can't stay inside you for too long.
Yeah.
Yeah? They'll unravel.
Yeah, that's... Oh, go on.
Yeah? So...
Oh, let me just say, that's what actually happened to my uncle when we were in prison. Basically, he swallowed... There was only 4 of them, but they were like that, really thick. He swallowed 4 of them. There was one of heroin, one of crack, one of one of coke, one of bicarb, and then one of weed. Luckily, it was the weed, but basically, he didn't come out for a month, yeah? And we all thought he was lying. Everyone on the wing was like, he's talking shit. He's waiting for the next visit, blah, 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 blah. But he weren't one to lie, really, do you know? And he always did get. And we were walking down the wing. I come back from education. We were 2'd up. Come back from education, and one of the lads said, "Bro, your uncle's fucking collapsed. He's on the bed, and he's on the bed, right? And he's pale white. We didn't even know what was wrong with him. He was pale white, and he's like, it's opened up in me. I can feel it. Next thing you know, he's on the toilet shitting the one time, and he's gone, look at this, and he was pulling the cling film." Yeah. Out of his ass, like literally drawing it out, and chunks of weed, and it was like baby blended, but obviously when it was coming out because it was wet when it opened up, it was like in clumps of wet and whatever, but the weed opened up in him, and it was like some pure high grade, and he white-eyed. So imagine if that was, because then what he was doing, he was panicking even more then. He's block up paranoid, he's thinking, what if the heroin opens up? He was like, I'm gonna have to go to the doctors. Luckily enough, it didn't open. It come out like 2 days later. But the weed opened up in him, like, do you know what I mean? And if that was the crack of the heroin, he could have died, like. Yeah, it's a dangerous game, A couple of the packages that I shitted out, they were unraveling, not like like what you said, coming out my arse or anything, but they were unwrapping. And even the officer was like, it's a good thing that we stopped you, basically. Yeah, because obviously, I bet when you're shitting some of them out, the cling's loose and it's... Yeah, because, the fluids will get inside that. Yeah, definitely. When the heroin come out, it weren't powder. It weren't like the substance of heroin. It was like, like a beetle on the foil. Yeah, it was like that, but it was like a... So they wrapped it. And I don't know if it was in like a condom or it was some sort of like bag at the end. So like they put it in this like little condom or some sort of like plastic bag. Yeah. And then they've wrapped it with cling. But when it was all unraveled, it was just like we could like squeeze it and it would like Do you know what I mean? It was like fluid in there, and that was because obviously the heat and it's just melted it into like a residue. Dangerous shit.
Yeah. So, you know, literally anyone that's doing these adventures, going to other countries, trying to swallow to come back, they're taking their life, they're putting their life at risk.
Yeah.
You know, there's no amount of money that can justify
your life.
It's mental, but you know, in the madness.
So what happened? Where did he take you from the hospital? Straight to the police station?
From the hospital straight to the police station.
Okay.
Straight to the police station, Freeport police station. So the police station, hot and dark, lots of cells. They put me in a foreigner's cell because I'm English with other foreigners. There was a guy from Holland in there. There was a guy from Russia in there. There was a guy from all over and an English guy. What they do, they separate the foreigners for our own protection. Now, there was 13 of us in this cell, and the cell's about the size of, say, half of this room.
No way.
13 of us, yeah. Even smaller. As for beds, 1, 2, 3, 4 slabs of concrete coming out of the wall. So it's not a bed, it's just a slab of concrete. Imagine like a big pavement coming out the wall.
Yeah.
So there was space for 4 people to sleep. So I slept on the floor with other people. You know, it was like, I'm a celebrity, get me out of here, because there's cockroaches everywhere. It's red hot, it's dark, you can't see, you know, you can't even see the other side of the cell properly.
Wow.
Yeah. So the door was a grill, and in that cell was a Jamaican, he said he was a smuggler, a Jamaican guy called Danny. I never forget this prick, because what he done...
But he was in the foreigner cell.
He was in the foreigner cell. So that, I was suspicious.
Questioning
Straight away. Why is a Jamaican in the foreigner cell? What are you doing in there?
Yeah.
His thing was, he actually paid the officers, it's corrupt as anything in Jamaica, as you can imagine. He actually paid the officers so that he could live in this cell, and his motive for that was so that he could extort the foreign prisoners that didn't know anything, that were scared of being in Jamaica. And what he would do, he would offer you a phone call. He had a mobile. He'd offer you a phone call. Obviously, you want to ring your family. You want to ring your missus. You want to ring your mum. You want to ring your kids. So I jumped on that. When he said he had a phone, I said, yeah. Got on the phone, phoned a couple of people. And then he's saying now, I owe him $500. That's not a lot of money. It's not like 500 quid. But in that situation, $500, you know, not everyone's got it.
Mate, fucking £5 on canteen fucking week in an English sales alarm.
This is what I'm saying. So luckily, I had some money. I gave him the £500. I didn't want any problems. And that was that. But what they do is, after, when you've rung your family and stuff on that phone, he'll pass that phone out of the cell to one of his boys. Now his boy rings the number that you called and says, right, we've got Wayne here. We're going to cut his throat if you don't send such and such through Western Union to us. It's a scam. It's a scam. My family knew about all of this stuff. So my family got a couple of phone calls, but, you know, they knew it was all.
So, yeah, but I'm imagining there's thousands of people who are getting ransomed like that, isn't they?
Definitely. So in this cell was a toilet, and the prison and the rule of that police station is, in the cell, you can't use the toilet. So the only time you can piss or shit was shower time, which is once a day.
Is that a form of torture or something?
It's not a form of torture.
Why is there a toilet in there then?
There's a toilet in there. It's to be used, but Jamaicans have their own rules. Jamaicans have their own rules. You can't shit in the cell with other people.
Oh yeah, I
get what I'm trying to say?
No, I do.
This was their.
No, yeah, no, I get, like, you know, like even in an English jail, if I'm too in a Welsh jail, if I'm too up with someone, Like I'd rather them wait. Like I'd say, listen, if you can wait to have a shit when the door opens.
Yeah.
Like I've been in a cell with someone, like, and you know, we've just had association. They bang us up for half hour before dinner, and he's trying to have a doo-doo before dinner. Do you get me? And I'm like, bro, we're gonna open up for dinner now. You can quickly run down the fucking shower room, like that type of stuff.
Yeah,
I get.
Yeah,
but if it's 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning,
exactly,
and your guts are killing, and you need a shit, then have a shit, bro.
This is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying.
But they're like that. No doo-doo.
No, it's like what I've got to explain about Jamaica is they. This is a country where my family are from. I don't like to talk bad of where my ethnicity is from, but it's fact that a lot of Jamaicans are very small-minded, uneducated, and their ways of thinking are really fucking strange. It's just how it is, bro. You know? So yeah, to actually have a shit in a cell with other people was a no-no. You'd get your throat cut kind of thing. It's just mental. So anyway, you'd have to hold your shit until it's shower time. And guess what? Shower time is traumatic because you go to a shower room. The shower room's about as big as this room. You got like 1, 2, 3, 4 holes in the wall with water coming out of them. And
dripping.
There'd be like 20 man in there. And you've just got to like wait for your turn to go in there to get wet. Then you've got to come out. Then you've got to wait for your turn to soap up. Then come out. Then you've got to wait for your... Listen, there's this whole etiquette thing, and the Jamaicans run the prison. You know, me, little English boy, I need to know my place kind of thing. So it's almost like being apologetic. Can I go in now? Can I come out now? You know? So I'm scared. I'm absolutely terrified in there. These guys are stabbing each other with, imagine a knitting needle made of iron. That's what they stab each other with in there, in the prisons and in the police stations. I don't want no problems. I'm no scrapper. I don't want no problems. But at the same time, I need to have a shower. Out of the 13 of us, I'd say only 3 of us showered whilst I was there for 3 weeks. People just too scared to leave the cell. There was no officer overseeing our safety. So I'd go to the shower and I'd have a couple of guys say, yo, English boy, want some money or not? Bro, I ain't got no money. What are you talking about? I'm a failed drug smuggler. People with money don't swallow drugs. They pay other people to do that shit. Think this is. And it was daily. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to pretend like I can help these people. Yeah, you know what? I got a link, you know. I got a link that can sort out a visa for you. You can come to the UK or you can go to America. And they thought that I was useful then. And that kept them off my back.
You've got to use your, whether it's your geography or whatever it is, you've got to use your strengths, and you'll find them in those situations.
Yeah.
Same with when we had Posh Pete on the podcast, and he was talking about how when he was in that Ecuadorian prison, because he was English and he was a drug smuggler, he would just roll off these lies of, I can get you this, I can get you that. And that was kind of what got him to climb the ranks, so to speak, because people are getting killed left, right and centre in those prisons as well. But people are like shocked that this guy survived, you know, but it's bargaining with the things that you know best.
Definitely. And it was believable because I was getting, out of all the foreign prisoners, I was the only one getting a visit. Reason being, my people are from Jamaica.
Yeah.
So I had visits in the police station. People were giving money on a visit to me. They were giving me like food.
Yeah, so you look like
I look like, you know, I'm kind of someone, you know? So yeah, it was easy to kind of, not easy, but I was able to talk my way out of some stuff.
When you was in the police station, did you witness any horrific things in there that stand in your mind, or? Well,
I mean, I didn't witness anything, but I heard some screamings on a couple of occasions. Now, as I say, Jamaica is a place you need to understand. This is an environment. This police station had a cell with what they call juveniles. These are people under 16. So this cell had 10, 11 and 12-year-olds in for multiple murders. these guys have been doing shootings in their little district where they're gangsters. Like these boys in the UK walking around like they're some, I don't know. They have no clue. In the ghettos of countries like Jamaica, it's another thing. It's a total another thing. So on one occasion, they put, and I don't know what this guy did, they put a guy into that cell with the youngsters, and they terrorized him in there. He was screaming all night. I don't know what they were doing to him in there.
Yeah. Mad.
I don't know what they were doing.
So you get shipped into the
I get
prison.
shipped to a prison.
Was that a bit easier? Was it worse?
It was easier. It was easier. 3 of us to a cell. It was me, a guy from Guyana, and a Jamaican guy.
Okay.
He'd been to the UK. He actually lived in Brixton and he got deported. I don't know, drugs charge or whatever. And so the 3 of us, we got on pretty good. Again, no beds. Not like here. You got bunk beds. Not like here. You sleep on the floor. Or some people, they would use like potato sacks and sew them together and make a kind of like a hammock. So the Jamaican guy, he had that. His hammock was way up in the air. The guy and his guy, he was just on the floor. I was lucky enough to get brought a mattress on a visit. Imagine that, a mattress on a visit. Basically just like a thick sponge like that. Like a single bed size, yeah. So I slept on that. So I lived pretty okay, you know? They let us out to do exercise and stuff. And you shower outside. But again, the toilet situation, there's no toilet in the cell. So if it's bang up and you need to go for a shit, there's no toilet. There's no toilet. So what we did was, not just me, but everyone in the prison, you piss into a bottle and you hang your bottle. It's all etiquette. It's all like, these are the rules of the prison. You hang your bottle in the corner and you can't put your bottle next to another man's bottle. Listen, I'm not even going to try to explain it. There's so many rules. And if you got some of these rules wrong, is a problem. And they'd put people in threes in a cell or on their own in a cell. They wouldn't have 2 because if one was trying to kill the other one, there's no one to stop it. That's basically their logic. So I was in a 3-man cell.
That's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it is mad. But to them, it makes sense. So
what happened? You got released. When did you get released? And what was your thought process coming out of that prison?
Well, from that prison, I did a little time and then I got moved to what they call a farm prison. I managed to get a phone. I started to live a bit of better life, you know, living in dormitories. So double bed scenario, 30 people in a dormitory, bit more freedom, bit of gym and stuff. I'll tell you a story. So I had a phone and this guy, he was on death row. He was only young. He was like 19 or 20. He was on death row. I don't know who he killed, but he'd been put on death row. And for some reason, the judge kind of pardoned him and said, okay, we're not going to execute you, but you're going to serve your time in general population. I think he had like 12 years to do. So he had a SIM card. So I said to him, we used to call him Death Row as a nickname. So he had a SIM card. So I said, listen, Death Row, I got a phone. You got a SIM card. Why don't we just work together? You hide the phone. You keep the phone all week. I only need it on a Friday evening. So he's like, yeah. So that's what we did. And he got a job in a different part of the prison working in the kitchen. And so he disappeared with my phone, basically. And I kept sending messages like, tell Death Row when he's going to send the phone back over. And he was sending messages. So basically, you've been bumped. Yeah, I'm keeping the phone. So listen, I'm in Jamaica. This is my only connection to the UK. I need this phone. I was fuming. He's sending messages basically saying like, you're not getting your phone back, tough kind of thing. So I was in the dorm one morning, pacing, just working myself up, thinking, I can't have this. I cannot have this, you know? You know what it's like?
Yeah.
It's like...
in the cell as well, innit? It works you up massively.
He's taken my lifeline, bro. My only connection to my family and stuff, and he's taking it. And he's not only that, like he's buoying me off.
Yeah.
You know? I've got to do something about it. I marched down to the kitchen. Normally I'd be in my sliders. It's hot, innit? I thought, if I'm going to scrap, I need to be putting on my trainers. I don't want to be fighting in flip-flops. So I put my trainers on. I've gone down to the kitchen and I could see like he's working at the back. So I'm like, Death Row. So he looked up. Death Row, come out here. So he's come outside and he's laughing. I said, Death Row, where's my fucking phone, bro? So he's looking around at his boys. He's like, this fool coming here looking for his phone. He's not, bro, I told you you're not getting your phone back. I said, bro, I need my fucking phone. I'm not playing with you, bro. And he just started to laugh. He looked round like that. And when he looked back to me, brother, the right hand that I gave him, he actually came off of his feet, landed upside, like on his back. He landed on his back like this, with his feet in the air. I stood over him and I went wham again on the side of his head. Bro, he was out. He was out cold. And as soon as I done it, I thought, fuck. This guy's called Death Row.
Yeah, he's gonna fucking
He's
kill
gonna
me.
fucking kill me. This guy's gonna fucking kill me when he fucking wakes up. So anyway, the officers come running over. They've dragged him. They've told me, go and stand in the office. So I'm stood in the office. Death Row stood next to me. He's bleeding everywhere. The officers have beat the fuck out of him for bleeding on the carpet. He's...
Fucking
Bro,
hell.
that's the kind of environment it was. So they sent me into segregation. I was in this like isolation block on my own. And what everyone came back the next day to tell me was, Rod, you punched out his back teeth. He had to go to the dentist and get his teeth, his gums sewn up. His back teeth came out. How the fuck did you do that? So, you know, I got a bit of a name in the prison, you know? Not that I wanted a name, but the English people were like, listen, you know what? You've got some fucking balls because, you know, what you did,
Yeah.
you know, most people would have just said, you know what? Keep the phone kind of thing. I'm going back to the UK, but you stood your ground. And in a way, I'm proud of myself for doing that, but in a way, it was stupid. Afterwards, when I came out of the segregation, people say, listen, bro, you know Death Row's going to kill you now, don't you? You do know that, don't you? I said, I know. So what I did was every time I was out on the yard, it was a massive yard with like 8 different dormitories. I would stand in eyesight of the officers with the rifles in the sentry boxes. I'd make sure that they can see me. If he was to approach me and anything kicked off, they would just shoot and then we'd have to split up and I'd be safe. So I literally had to make sure I could always see. There were like 4 towers.
Madness.
Yeah.
Madness.
Yeah. And this went on for a couple of weeks. And he even came to my dormitory one time, but at lockdown time. And our eyes made 4. And he just said to me, like, everything's cool kind of thing. Like, I don't know what happened, but I don't know. Maybe the officer said to him, don't even think about it, because it looks bad for public relations for a British prisoner to get stabbed or killed in a Jamaican. They don't. They don't
politics
want that.
with it all, innit? Massive.
They don't want all that.
Yeah.
So so that was that. I was still wary of the guy.
Yeah.
You know, he was a sneaky little shit. He was really sneaky. I've seen him in action. Like, you know, the kind of guy would just appear from nowhere, you know, with a tool. And, you know, I'm no fighter. I don't walk around with tools. I never have.
Yeah.
You know, I was well out of my depth. This guy he's already in prison for multiple murders. I'm in for a little bit of attempted smuggling, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So anyway, come back to the UK and I didn't realize how much that experience had changed me, you know? It made me look back at all my prison sentences thinking, fuck, that's like Butlins. You know, the living conditions in Jamaica are dreadful. It wasn't long before I was back into my old habits. I wasn't living in the place I was. I was back going from den to den to den to den, committing offences, and I'd done another prison sentence. And then came rehab. I realised I needed to do something about it. And I remember knocking my mum's door we had a big falling out because, well, she knew that I was up to no good. And I said to her, you know, I'm going to rehab. And she said, I've been waiting for you to say something like this. I've been waiting for you to say something like this. Went to my first rehab, did great. They took me on as a volunteer, but there was no paid job. So I went back into old habits. It wasn't the complete picture in my mind. It may have led to a paid job, but I just didn't have the patience, you know, which is part of addiction, I think. Wanting everything now.
Yeah,
immediate gratification, you know. Second rehab, did amazing. They took me on as paid staff. Then my dad passed away, and whilst at that rehab, I decided to get baptized. I decided it was a step program. I decided to hand everything over to God. That's what I decided. I thought everything that I decide to do, everything that I plan to do, just goes wrong and fucks up. Let me try something different. I see people that are spiritual people and they're happy. I want some of what they got. My closest cousin, Tyrone, he's Tyrone Wayne. I'm Wayne Tyrone. He's a Christian. And that guy is a phenomenal... He's like my hero, bro. He's like my hero. And I love him so much. And I know that it's God in his life that has kept him on the right path, has brought him success and health and happiness in his life. And I wanted some of that. So, yeah, I got baptized on Brighton Beach. And I started to look at things differently. Not saying I didn't fuck up after that, I did. But I was starting to see life a bit different. I was starting to be less selfish. And I was feeling the bad things that I was doing. I was really remorseful on some of the stuff that I'd done. So anyway, my dad passed away, and I dipped my toes back into addiction, and my work colleague said to me, listen, you need out of here. You need out of here. You can't keep doing this. You've got so much potential. You can't keep doing this. So he brought me to a rehab in Wales. Now, I was familiar with this rehab because we had already brought someone that wasn't suitable for our project on the motorway all the way to Wales. I'd already met the pastor. I'd already looked around, saw they had a gym, saw they had a work program. I saw that people were, I don't know, they were in their recovery, man. And I thought, this is amazing. Anyway, 6 months later, I'm there as a resident. So I've gone in as a resident. It was basically just a phone call and I was in. There was no interview. I was just in because they'd already met me previously. And yeah, within a couple of months, I made senior. It means I take people to the shop basically. And then they took me on as a volunteer, and they asked me if I could become like a fundraiser for them, and that's what I did. So I'd take the guys out backpacking in the supermarkets, and we'd collect money in a bucket. We did a fantastic renovation on a chapel down in Swansea that holds huge significance in Christianity, and it was about giving my time. And I was the more I was giving, the more I was getting.
Yeah,
and I think that program was also, it wasn't even a program; it was just a change of lifestyle. This holistic thing. So some exercise, some life skills, some this, some that, some this, some that. And I stayed there for 3 years, man. Yeah. So I ended up being in charge of that project. It was amazing. I passed my driving test whilst I was there. And once you know, I was at a set day off every week, I would go to a place to eat, to have some lunch, just to get a break away from the area. And that's where I met my fiance. And listen, coming to Wales has just been incredible. People always say, it's not about where you go, you know, because, yeah, listen, I can find drugs in a desert. I could find crack or heroin on the moon. You know how it goes. But it gave me that break and breathing space.
It plays a factor.
It plays a factor.
You know, it's not the ultimate thing that changes you.
No.
You know, take him here, take him to your nans, take him to your aunties.
Yeah.
Because it's down to you, but it definitely plays a factor.
It played a huge factor. And
I just want to say as well, this is the lesson I want to quickly spin on it about. Everyone's addiction is different. Everyone's out is different. Don't ever think that, you know, the way that you know, someone comes through it, that's the way. Yeah. Because I've been there and I've said many times the rehab that Wayne run, I went to 2018, 2017, just miss Wayne. And it wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me. Like, I don't know if it was the timing or whatever it was. At that time, it didn't work for me. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't work for someone else. And I just want to let you guys know that if something doesn't work for you when you are trying to go through addiction, don't give up. Try everything and something will click into place. Yeah. That's what I just want to say.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, Colin. Like, every person is different. Every recovery is different. I know people that they've quit their hard drugs and they have a joint every night. Their life isn't unmanageable. Their life's great. They're happy. You know, it's just it's a bit of a release for them. It's something they enjoy doing. It's not causing them to rob anyone on the street or steal. Yeah. So, you know, absolutely.
You know.
So, my fiance, we've got a 3-year-old son, and we've got one on the way. He's due in about, is it 11 weeks now? And I tell you, for someone to accept me with this baggage and this history and this and that, she don't bat an eyelid. And I love her enormously. I love everything about her. She is so down to earth. And I had a chat with my mum one time, and you see, all of this past that I have, you know, trying to be accepted, you know, with the clothes and the design of this and trying to fit in, and living in the Welsh valleys now, it's totally different. And that is what I needed. I needed to be brought down a peg to actual reality,
yes.
Like to be shown or reminded of the things that should be my priority, you know, family, you know.
I bet you're the best dressed in the valleys, aren't you?
I probably am.
There's something I need to go back to, right? Because we were speaking the other day, and there's something that really brought me value in what we were talking about, and it's kind of, you know, it's beautiful, I think, but it's so true, and not for everyone again, but for many. And it's what you said about when you used to get arrested and go to jail, and when you come out, and it was prison brought me freedom, release brought me jail, and that's the cycle, you know. Yeah. Many people who use drugs, they do go into prison, and they don't want to touch it. That's where they are themselves, where they are healthy. Yeah. But when you get released, it's just the path to your next prison sentence, because you know you're going to go back.
On my release, it was bittersweet, because yes, you're out of a prison cell. You're not being told, Fisher, bang up. You're not being told, Fisher, this. But I know that I'm coming out to an uncertainty. I'm coming out to no accommodation most of the time. I'm coming out to no structure. I'm going to be mingling with the same associates. And it's just a matter of time. Normally within a day, I'm going to be back feeding my addiction. Yeah. Being arrested, being on the prison wings, you'd think I was on holiday. I look so healthy. 3 meals a day, you know, gym, going to sleep at 10 o'clock or whatever. That structure, that peace of mind would just make me just glow. I'd come out of prison and it would just all fall apart.
But look where you are now, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in the studio with you. Chopping it up.
You know, you're doing unbelievably well. Obviously, we met through work. You know, you're killing life. You've got 2 kids on the way.
And no, not 2 on the way. Got 1 on the way.
You've got 1, but you will have 2. There's 1 on the way, but it will make 2.
And then the 25-year-old.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
That's got shoulders like this. He's doing amazing things. I love him so much. He's so focused and disciplined. It's just fucking crazy, man. He's incredible. What I'd like to mention is that in my days of addiction, walking around looking for my next victim, looking for my next raise, the old school way of saying it, looking for my next raise. I would make songs up in my head as company. I would hum a couple of lines, and then I'd have a chorus, and it would almost be like an obsession. That was my company. That was almost like my comfort. And I started doing that in, I don't know, maybe 2006. And I've written with other people in prisons.
So you write lyrics and now you spit on it, yeah?
I write songs, yeah.
From the pain and from the past, yeah?
It's everything I write is personal experiences. I'm no singer. I don't claim to be. I know what a singer is.
Okay, then. What we normally do, Wayne, is we tell our guests to look down the camera to see us out with a positive message, or something that maybe people can leave, something positive. Maybe you've got like something like a song or a rap. You've got maybe something that resonates with people, or if you've got anything that you can.
I've got a song. Yeah. So what I'm gonna try to sing is it's called Dear Daddy. It's not exactly my life story, but there are some similarities with me, and it's just a story, and it's something that I think people can relate to, because there are a lot of people in this position, being maybe given material stuff but missing out on hugs and love and stuff, which can lead to seeking acceptance and a belonging outside of the home. So that's what the song's about. It's called Dear Daddy.
Run with it.
Okay. Oh, I'm just sitting here in my cell. Hope you get this letter, Daddy. Oh, I'm just sitting here in my cell. Hope you get this. I pray you get this. I'm not taking nothing from you, Daddy. You always dress me in the latest shit. I'm the definition of a spoiled little boy. New bike, toy, sneakers, Daddy, I had it. But I never got a chance to know you, and I never got the chance to show you just how much I cared. You were always hard at work, so you were never there, so sorry. So many things that I wanted to say. I'm so sorry that my life turned out this way, and my letter goes, Dear Daddy, when I was younger, why'd you have to work so long? You put food on the table but never hugged me, and now I don't know right from wrong. And my letter goes, Dear Daddy, when I was younger, why'd you have to work so hard? I'm writing 10-page letters from this jail cell, all because of that security guard. 10-page letters from a jail cell. 10-page letters from a jail cell, singing 10-page letters from a jail cell. Singing 10-page letters. I remember getting teased by the bigger boys, Daddy. They were jealous of the things I got. You never taught me how to get rough, Daddy. Apparently something you just forgot. Now that I'm grown, I roll with bad boys, Daddy. Do what they do, don't want to feel left out. But I'm picking up all kind of habits, Daddy. The kind of habits I could do without, so sorry. The things I do make you so ashamed. I'm so sorry that I ever chose this game. And my letter goes, Dear Daddy, when I was younger, why'd you have to work so long? You put food on the table but never hugged me, and now I don't know right from wrong. And my letter goes, Dear Daddy, when I was younger, why'd you have to work so hard? I'm writing 10-page letters from this jail cell, all because of that fucking security guard.
Bro, yo, mate. Thank you so much, Wayne, mate. I want to give you a fucking hug, man. Yo, brother. Thank you so much, man. Honestly. Thank you, brother. I was fucking powerful, man. Hey, guys. Listen. Unbelievable. I know that resonates with me so much, and I know there's thousands and thousands of people out there who are coming through the other side, people who are still stuck in addiction, who are going through the same thing. I'm shaking, mate. Like, I'm literally shaking. Thank you so much, Wayne.
I want to thank you big time. Do I need this? Yeah, I want to thank you big time, Cullen, for inviting me in here. When we met at that place of work, and I saw your passion, the stuff that you do, you're running around Cardiff trying to save Cardiff. You're like Superman in Cardiff, brother. And I just want to encourage you to just keep doing what you're doing. I know that sometimes you bump heads with some of the management where you are. We've had talks about that, and bro, just stick with it. Just stick with it. You're inspirational. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Wayne. Hey, guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Please leave your comments. If you got anything to talk about with Wayne or anything, just leave them in the comment box. I'm sure we can answer them maybe in a later time on the Central Club comments, maybe.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you so much, Wayne, again.
No problem, bro.
Stay Central.
The Central Club.